and welcome to the Michael Zehr Show. Today's date is March 31st, last day of the month. Tomorrow's April Fool's Day, so don't fall for any April Fool's jokes. Today's guest veteran is Bill Beecher, and Bill is with the Vietnam Veterans of America. And Kathy was talking to me, and she thought it would be really a fitting tribute because we just celebrated Vietnam Veterans, what's it called? Vietnam
National Vietnam Veterans
War
Day.
And that was celebrated on Wednesday, March 29th. So the last time that I sat down and interviewed you, Bill, again, thank you for sitting down with me, by the way.
Absolutely, no problem.
The last time that I interviewed you, believe it or not, was August 13th of 2021.
It's been a minute.
So it has. So lots happened in those almost 2 years. And it's been a joy and a pleasure to know you because I've been interacted with you quite a few times, both here and at the DAV. And you're a good man. You want to help a lot of people. You're passionate about the Vietnam veterans, and
Very much so.
It's something that we want to talk about today. So we're going to be talking about Vietnam today. So the first question that I would like to ask you is, what does having the Vietnam War Memorial Observance Day, what does that mean to you?
Well, as many of the veterans, especially in my generation, know, we did not get welcomed home appropriately when we came back.
Correct.
We came through the airports and stuff like that. We had stuff thrown at us. We were, screamed at being baby killers and all that, which had not happened before because we were not initially declared a war. It was a policing action. It was anything but war. Congress had not declared it. So, there were a lot of people that just because of the unpopular war, all of the peace pilots, is what I'm going to call them. I got to call them a lot of different things, but
right.
We're just against that war in its entirety. But we didn't choose, as draftees, as I was, where it was that I was going to serve. You got drafted, you went to your training, and then if that was your destination, you got on a plane, you went to Vietnam, you spent your year there, and you came home, and hopefully you were one of the lucky ones that got to come home.
Right.
And then get to come home all in one piece was even more of a benefit. But there's not a person that served in Vietnam that did not come back with some kind of unseen medical or experience that they carry with them today.
Do you know exactly what date Vietnam started?
It was in 1959.
1959?
And to 1975.
To 1975, okay. And what year did you go there?
I was there in 70, 71.
70 and
with
71?
the 101st Airborne as a airborne Pathfinder infantryman.
Wow.
So I got to see a lot of the northern sector of Vietnam.
Wow.
A good portion of it from the air, fortunately, but we did combat assaults. And as a Pathfinder, if nobody knows anything about what we do, we're air traffic controllers, but we're on the first helicopter into the LZ, and we're there until the last helicopter arrives, and then we get to go home. But if the LZ is hot, meaning that there's a lot of enemy activity,
right,
and we couldn't get on that last helicopter, if they had to curtail the assault, then you went back to your roots and you just became a combat infantryman until you could get to a place where you could get taken out and then go back and do it all over again. In the interim, like once a month, you'd get assigned to a fire base and you would do air traffic control for all of the aircraft coming in, because you had to deconflict it with all of the artillery that was going out. The last thing we wanted to do is shoot down a helicopter that, it had a general or the Red Cross donut dollies.
Right.
We wanted them to get in and out safely. And resupplies, medevac, whatever was flying had to get cleared in and out of that airspace, so we didn't have any conflicts.
So you were there for a little over a year?
I was there for 11 months.
11 months.
27
okay.
days.
11
just
months
to be exact.
Okay. All right. Have you been to the Vietnam Wall?
Twice.
Twice? What was that experience like for you?
I don't remember all of the names to look for, but there were two. And it's quite an experience, even if you don't know a name. Just the way the wall was designed and all the names that are on it, over 58,000, and we're still in the process of adding more.
Right.
As we recover some of our POWs and other people that have been reported as missing and not recoverable, we will keep adding names to it. But there's over 58,000, and I think that probably in the next 5 years we could break the 59,000.
If you're a Vietnam veteran and you've served over there, and then you come home and God forbid when it's your time and you're gone, do they allow you to go up on the wall then at that time? Or is that strictly for people that were actually killed in service?
Yep, KIA. Yep.
I've never seen the wall. I hear it's quite moving. That's why I was wondering.
Well, the advantage is, and you kind of keep your ear to the ground, and if you know a veterans organization, from time to time, I know since I've been here in Sierra Vista, the mobile wall has been here 3 different times. It's been in Bisbee, it's been in Benson, and I think it was over in Tombstone, but I'm not sure about that one, over the last 10 years or so. But that does move around, but it does take some money, and it takes some dedication. I mean, it is a replica of the wall in D.C., so it takes up, 400 or 500 linear feet, and then plus whatever else they have on display. But it usually draws a large crowd, and it's usually on the ground for at least 2 days, if not 3.
Wow. Is it coming anytime soon that you know of?
I looked at the calendar. I don't have anything for anywhere in Arizona for the remainder of this calendar year.
Okay, all right. I'll be sure to keep my eye out for it because I would really love to go and see it once. I think it would be a good thing to go and pay our respects,
Absolutely.
You flew with the honor flight. Can you tell us a little bit about your trip and what that was like? And what is the honor flight for those that may not know?
Honor flight is a free trip for 3 days to Washington, D.C. for the veterans that qualify to go. The Order of Merit is World War II veterans, Korean veterans, then Vietnam veterans, and because those numbers are declining so rapidly, they now are starting to, if there's space available, extend that to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and if it continues, then we'll get to some of the other veterans, and disabled veterans are at a higher priority than just a veteran that served. But
wow.
They have a couple orientations that you do several days before the flight to let you know what to expect. They pick you up at Tucson for us and fly you into DCA, Reagan National, and then bus you over to a hotel. Your meals are paid for. They get you to all of the military sites. They drive by a lot of the government buildings that are in D.C. also. So you get to see quite a bit in 3 days. And they do have a really nice dinner honoring all of the people that are participating in the honor flight on the last night that you're there.
Oh, wow.
So it's
good food?
Good food.
Yeah.
It's hotel food. But,
hotel food.
They try and get a pretty nice menu together. It's box lunches. They bring those up on the bus, and they have escorts for everybody that goes, and especially for those that need help getting around, either walkers or canes or wheelchairs. That cost about $1,800 for those people to go and assist all the veterans that are there. Husbands can go, or the veteran could be a wife, but the spouse can't. You can't go as an escort. That's just one of the special cliquey rules that they've got. But they have a lot of ROTC cadets and college students, that pay their respects, and they pay their way to be part of that. They go twice a year.
Wow, that's
March,
amazing.
March, and I believe it's late September or October is the second one that comes from southern Arizona. We're not the only flight that goes to Washington, D.C.
Right.
But we had some construction going on up there, so we did not get to go actually up on to some of the stuff that they're building, but the wall was accessible. The nurses statue, the Vietnam veteran statue, the Korean memorial, all that stuff was there. We got to go in and see Washington's monument. We got to spend a little time on the mall, so we got to see Washington's monument, and then of course the reflecting pool in between, and then some of the other stuff was just drive-by on the bus.
Do they have memorials there for World War I and II as well?
They do.
They do?
They do. All of our world wars
Wow.
are all encapsulated there. The World War II is huge. They got large concrete walls there that talk about the different battles and the time frames and the number of people that were in the battle, the number of people that were killed in the battle. But there's a lot to see in 3 days. It is a full menu. You have breakfast at 6, you're on the bus by 7:30. You don't get back till 4:30, 5 o'clock. You get about an hour to have your bagged lunch. You can either sit out in the grass or you can sit on the bus. They have medics on every bus. So
Okay.
if you do have a health issue, they've got medical people there to handle it. And like I said, they've got the people that help those that are in wheelchairs, walkers, canes, make sure that they can get to all the venues as well.
What are some of the changes that you've seen over the years as to how our Vietnam veterans are treated?
Well, considering how we were treated when we first got back from country, it's taken probably, I would guess, 25 years since the end of the war before we've really been accepted as war veterans. Initially, it was not declared a war.
Right,
It was a policing action, a political action, and there's rumors out there that it was a monetary thing. We were there to protect the investors like Goodyear and Firestone, who had large rubber tree plantations there. And then they said, well, that's not going to sell. Americans are already protesting the war. So then it was changed to we're attempting to stop the spread of communist Chinese aggression in that part of the world. So it was, different colors painted
Right.
About the Vietnam War.
Everybody has their own feelings and own opinions about life in general. I mean, we're all opinionated people. I, for one, have never been much into the protesting and stuff like that. That's just, not my style, not anything that I would want to be taken part of or anything like that. And I would seem that it would be really hard, and if they should come up to a Vietnam veteran and apologize. Probably never will, but just, hey, what? That was 50 years ago. I'm sorry that I did that. Yeah.
I don't think that, an apology is
Gonna be enough?
what any of us look for.
No?
No, I think we're so far beyond that. I think that the magic is thank you, welcome home, and thank you for your service. Those are the things that we were lacking when we came back from Vietnam, fought in the battles in a place where we didn't choose, our country did, but
Right.
we stepped up and filled the void and served, did our part, but then the whole attitude back then was, it's a baby killing war, it's all these bad things. And we were just told, you're in the military, you took an oath, put your rucksack on, here's your rifle, get on the plane, go do your duty. Hopefully you'll survive it and come back in one piece. The caution that I have for a lot of people, though, is they go, but you're a Vietnam veteran. You look fine to me. Well, ask any other of the veterans that served Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, or some of these other places. Not all wounds are visible.
Right.
Some of those wounds are deeply ingrained in your brain, and you just can't snap your finger and make that stuff go away. You can't.
No.
It's not possible.
I was going to say that there's been so many different. America's been under attack for so long. There's been actions in. We've lost people in Somalia. We've lost people in Beirut, and it's just. I mean, it's a never-ending cycle, and what's going on right now, I think, in Syria, it's
Yes.
just.
With the people that were killed and injured there.
Mm-hmm. And then we got the war in Ukraine. I mean, it's a never-ending thing. It really is.
And war has changed. Now it's a technical operation.
Instead of boots on
less
the ground.
boots on the
Right.
ground, face to face with the enemy. It was much better than when the British came, when they marched in their single ranks, 12-man fronts. That made it pretty easy pickings right then.
Yeah.
But when you get into jungle warfare or you get into the warfare that we've been involved in here lately, you don't know who the enemy is.
No.
And
Because they blend in with the civilians, and they use civilians
Yep.
for.
and who knows, with all of the people that we have coming into America now, not through normal processes,
Right.
what's going to be the next 9/11? How do you identify the people that are dangerous to America now? And that to me disturbs me more than anything that I experienced in Vietnam.
What are some of the hurdles that you faced when you returned home from Vietnam?
I came back through Fort Lewis, Washington, and when we got in the airport, they have the plane schedules, and they probably had 30 or 40 anti-war protesters there, and we were spit at. We were called baby killers. They threw
Right.
coffee, water, soda. If they had other items, they were throwing that at us. It was almost like being in a mini skirmish just to get through the airport and go to your out processing point and be able to get out of the military. And then, of course, you go home, and then there's your schoolmates, there's your neighbors, all of those people, and there were different attitudes about, whether you were a safe person to be around, because somewhere along the line they said, well, if they're a Vietnam veteran, they're bat poop crazy, so be careful, don't talk about the war, they could go off on you and they would attack you. And that was a horrible misnomer. There were some that came back that had that battle fatigue and reacted to it. But when you're in close combat, either I shoot them or they shoot me, and it's a matter of survival. The last thing you want to do is have somebody get up in your face and start calling you names. Most people don't like it, even if you're not a war veteran.
Right.
You're walking in the mall and somebody comes up and has something nasty and derogatory to say to you. You're going to have a reaction to it. And fortunately, I had a guy who played lineman at Oklahoma State University They came back at the same time I did. So when they started throwing all that stuff, I was wired tight when I came back. And I wanted to go get me some protester butt. And he grabbed me by the collar and he said, "Nope, don't do it. That's exactly what they want you to do. You'll end up in jail. Let's just go get on the bus, go get out processed, and let's go home to our family."
Right.
So he saved me.
Yeah, it's it's despicable because again, and we've talked about this. You brought it up a couple times. Is that it's not like you had a choice. You know, you're serving your country. Your country says, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is where you're going to go. So they're taking out their anger on you guys when the anger is really misdirected. If they should be mad at anybody, they should be mad at the people that sent us there.
The decision makers.
Yes.
Yes. But, that's the way we fought battles then. We didn't have the technology that we have now where we can keep our troops, back away from the front lines, except those that we're using to, get eyes on the enemy. But even that has changed dramatically. Now we have satellites, we have drones,
right.
We have all this other stuff. So the look of the battlefield is not what it used to be. I mean, it changed in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We got the long-range missiles and all that stuff now. The B-52s, can reach out hundreds of miles and take out targets with precision. So we don't have to worry about a lot of the collateral damage. Where when we were there, B-52s dropped hundreds of bombs in one pass. And it just happened to be whatever's on the ground underneath that path got destroyed.
Right.
We couldn't do precision targeting.
Them. Right.
And I'm sure that, there were plenty of civilian casualties as a result of that. That was the price of war, unfortunately.
What is the one thing that you would like to change about our current state of affairs here in our country?
We need to change the way that we treat our military personnel. We need to change the level of respect that they are due. Now we're an all-volunteer army, so that changes things too. But the whole attitude of America in general, and it stems all the way back. Maybe it's the grandchildren of the anti-war protesters then that have become part of the woke crowd. It's like, we shouldn't be fighting anybody. We should be all, love and roses and, one big world. That can't happen in humanity. Just like you said at the opening, we all have attitudes. And my attitude may not coincide with your attitude. So you're going to have a reaction to whatever I say. How you and I deal with that reaction is the same as how our country deals with the reactions of other countries that don't have our same ideals and philosophies. And what ends up happening? We get in a battle. It's either a one-on-one battle, or it becomes a mob mentality, or it escalates to where Congress and the military have to go in and do the intervening, kind of like what we're doing in the Ukraine right now. Proxy war, but don't think that we're not involved in that. We're deep into it, and it's unfortunate. Over the last 50 years, maybe even 75 years, America doesn't fight and win battles. We go in and we do sustainment fighting in order to try and change the hearts and minds of the people that are in opposition to us. America needs to change that attitude.
Right.
If we're gonna send beans, bullets, soldiers, and equipment, we need to go in. We just need to get the job done and then come home. Not doing these long 20-year wars like Vietnam turned out to be. the longest war that we've had in our history. We could have gone in there with the B-52s and whatever technology we had then, and we could have gone north of the DMZ, and we probably could have changed that war and shortened it by half, if not even more. And we wouldn't have had to lose almost 59,000 of our soldiers. And that doesn't even account for the people that did support our efforts there.
Right.
The Australians, the Montagnards, and some of the other countries that had an interest in saving themselves from that communist aggression, because that's how it turned out. But we need to get away from fighting these proxy type wars. We just need to go in, take care of business and come home.
You had mentioned earlier about some POWs and MIAs that were in Vietnam, and you said that to this day they're still recovering remains over there and happening to identify them?
They are. We still have a group that's there 365. They have people that the South Vietnamese are going out and they're gaining information from some of the villages where our operations in that area would indicate we have people that are missing from that battle, that operation. So they go out to those villages, and a lot of times, the only people that have any information are the elders, and just like us, a lot of them are going away. So they would have the information on whether or not there was a U.S. or a U.S. supportive military person that was known to be in the village. We've heard the stories where, after 3 years, nobody came to get them, so they just became part of that village. They married into the village. They had children, and then they just got to a certain age and they died. But there was no reporting through
Right.
any channels to let us know that that person is buried there. So from time to time, those contacts have said, yes, we had an American here. He died X number of years ago, and we buried him. And they go and show the recovery teams where that person is buried. They go out, they exhume him, they bring him back, they do all the forensic, they identify them, and then their name will eventually go up on the wall. The last thing that I heard from the POW MIA committee in D.C. that's inside the Vietnam Veterans of America, there was a ship that was retrieving mines in Haiphong Harbor that we planted there that were doing recovery, and they ran into a Vietnamese ship, and our ship sank, and they're still in the process of recovering the 13 bodies that were lost in that collision.
Wow.
So their names will go on the wall too. Even though that was after the end of the war, they were recognized because of what they were doing, that they should be recognized as part of the Vietnam War.
One thing, Bill, that I try to do a lot of reading when I can on my own, because I don't like to watch the news and have it opinionatedly preached to me. I like to be able to make up my own mind, and I read some really good articles. Because
you have to watch 5 different news agencies
to
try and decipher the truth.
But one thing that I really admired, well, there's a lot of things I admire about our Vietnam veterans, and when you volunteer here at the Warrior Healing Center, I never saw as many Vietnam veterans until I started volunteering here. When I started volunteering here, that's when I started seeing, because if you're just in the community and stuff, they keep to themselves. They're not.
They do.
Yeah, they're not like, oh, hey, look at me, I was in Vietnam. No, they're not. They're just quietly part of the community. But when you come in here, it's a great group of soldiers. And what the point I'm getting at is that, excuse me, the point I'm getting at is when they come in here, you get to meet this group. So when Afghanistan happened and we did that pullout in Afghanistan, there were so many Vietnam veterans that knew that feeling, that pain, and it was like Vietnam all over again.
It was.
And
Again, we went in there, we started a battle, and we didn't finish it. We didn't win it. And the unfortunate thing is, there was some bad decisions made about pulling out and leaving people behind. And
right,
so the decision maker, I mean, I've seen that guy on different news channels, the sniper that had the bomber in his sights before he detonated his vest bomb that killed the 13 people, just as the last C5 is getting ready to leave. Those are legacies we cannot continue to have in our history. Go in, win it, come back home.
right. I just think that it was a great thing that a lot of Vietnam veterans, though, they stepped up and said, hey, we know what you're going through, and they were kind of like a, I don't know, healing, maybe a little bit of help, definitely help, because they knew that feeling of abandonment basically is what it was.
Exactly. And because we were treated like that, and it took so many years to get the recognition, and for people to understand, we didn't have a choice in going. Our country asked us to go.
Right.
We felt that we should go. It was our obligation to do so, and we just hoped that we could survive that.
Right.
And we understand absolutely what it is that they were going through. Sometimes it's difficult to understand why we were there in the first place. They've got questions that have never been answered by leadership. There's just a lot of blank space. Why did I have to go to this foreign country and do this mission? Those people didn't thank us. They have no respect for us.
Yeah.
So why did we have to sacrifice money, materials, and lives? We've gained nothing. And with the technology that we have, it would have to be more likely an accident rather than an item of conflict that we lose people.
Tell us about what the celebration was like, that or the remembrance that we had here at the Veterans Park here in Sierra Vista.
Again, I'll go back to the early years when we were not recognized for our service, getting rid of that baby killer mentality. The veterans organizations worked really, really hard because we all have Vietnam veterans in it. It's like we would like to have a day dedicated to the Vietnam veterans because of what we went through, rather than just lump us under November 11th, Veterans Day.
Right.
So the veterans organizations, DAV, VFW, American Legion, VVA, and others said we would like to have a day just stand alone to
Right.
recognize the Vietnam veterans.
And why March 29th?
March 29th is significant because I asked myself that question. Why March 29th?
Right. I saw the art. I read the article.
Yep, March 29th.
It's in the paper
yep,
right here.
Yep, I got it right here. Yeah, there we go. March 29th was the day that they signed the letter officially ending the war in Vietnam, when the withdrawal of the MACV people, except a few people that were there working out of the embassy still, that were couriers that were taking the final documents and stuff from the Vietnamese that were turned in to the U.S. consulate embassy and getting it back to the U.S. There's a lot of paperwork. Even after we said, yeah, we're withdrawing, we quit. But you still have a lot of I's and a lot of T's that needed to be crossed to actually officially end the war. So that was done like in April, but officially the war did not end until
March
May.
20. Well, but the actual letter, or not letter,
March.
but the withdrawal,
Yep,
the last one out of the Vietnam was on March 29th, right?
that's what they say.
Okay.
Combat troops,
Right.
not necessarily the end of the Americans
Right. Right.
that are there in Vietnam. So
Do you think that's a fitting date, or do you think they should have had a different date?
that date works for me. They could have picked any date on the calendar
Right.
to honor it, but yeah, we did the research and it's like March 29th. Okay, so that coincides to a significant event,
Right.
drawing down the war in Vietnam. So March 29th it is every year. And we had 44 people in attendance, to include the mayor and some other folks from different veterans organizations there in support of the event that we had there that day. But March 29th, put it on your calendar for 2024.
For next year.
It'll be at the Veterans Park, and hopefully we'll have 100 people and not just 44 there to honor and mark that day of commemoration.
When I read the article, I read that you gave a very good opening statement, and I read that our mayor gave quite a good speech as well, and there were also some young people there as well.
There were, we say young people.
Young to us.
Yeah, young to us.
Right.
Probably in their mid 40s and not in their 70s. and that's good to see. That's part of why we need to expand the knowledge of the Vietnam War. We're not the baby killers. We're not all dinky dow, crazy in the head. It's
Right.
okay. You can talk to us. You can say, welcome home. Thank you for your service. That goes a long way. And that's just not for Vietnam veterans. If you know anybody that served in any capacity in the military, you owe that to them. You didn't have to go. Those people that put on the uniform, have provided you a safe place to live, and you can sleep in peace at night, knowing that the military is out there doing everything they can to protect America. I would even say expand that further, and all your police forces, they owe that thank you, that gratitude for keeping America.
Yeah, if we didn't have a strong military right now, we probably would be speaking Russian or Chinese.
Yeah, Mandarin.
Mandarin,
yeah. And
So-
I'm not 1,000% sure that if this country doesn't do something to change the direction that we're going, that America is going to be recognizable in 10 years. I mean, we're already pretty close to losing the U.S. dollar as a world currency, and I don't know which part of the world we're going to end up fighting in, but if we keep going, America is going to be involved in a conflict somewhere to try and save our democracy. God help us all.
Amen to that. So to change gears a little bit here, I understand that from what I was told anyhow, that you were going to be assuming, but I guess it's by proxy is what you told me off camera, that you'll be assuming the position of the state lead in Arizona for the Vietnam veterans, but that actually isn't right then?
I'm already fulfilling that
Right.
as a state council vice president. So in the absence of the president, the vice president fills in. He had some serious health conditions. We thought we lost him twice, and he's in a very slow road of recovery. He himself is hoping that by the time we get to August, not in an official capacity as the president, but be able to attend our national convention in Florida mid-August. And our elections don't come up until June of 2024. And if he cannot reassume those duties, then that will be resolved in the next election, next June.
Are you able to share his name with us so we could pray for him?
Randy is all I'll just say.
Yeah, Randy. Okay.
Is our current elected state council president. So yeah, he's still in a slow recovery. He had sepsis twice.
Wow.
And it's only about a 25% survival rate with sepsis, even with the medical stuff that we have right now.
What I was talking about earlier with the Vietnam veterans and coming in here to the Warrior Healing Center, today was a perfect example. You were just out in the lobby and you and I were talking a little bit, and this gentleman walked in the door, had a Vietnam hat on, kind of like similar to what you were wearing,
Yep.
had never been in the building before, and you saw him and you just scooped him right up, and then you just started.
We had a very nice long conversation.
Yeah.
Part of that was, like I said earlier, you see the veteran, say, hey, thank you for your service, welcome home. That opens the door. They feel like they're in a comfortable environment. They're talking to somebody that walked the walk and talked the talk.
Yeah.
So they open up just a little bit than they may for anybody else, just coming in off the street. I found out that he was a pilot in Vietnam, and so we relived some of those stories. He was a helicopter pilot for a while, as was
Wow.
I, but not in Vietnam. It was much
Right.
later than that. So we had so much common ground that we could connect with, that it just opened up, conversations that I wish that we could have more of. A lot of people don't even know that there is a Vietnam Veterans of America chapter here. It's amazing. I see them with a Vietnam veteran hat on,
Right.
or they have some other kind of shirt or jacket or hat, that advertises that they're a veteran, and then you kind of look at their age, if in the late 60s to early 80s, it's like probably 80% chance he's either a Vietnam era veteran or he's a Vietnam veteran. And it's
Right.
like, hey, how you doing? I'm a Vietnam veteran. I see you're wearing some veteran stuff right there. Where were you at? And again, the door opened up, and next thing you know, you're having a cup of coffee. You get the email addresses and you swap information. They find out that, Vietnam veterans, maybe I should be talking to them, see if I can get any disability benefits from the VA. And as you know, working
Right.
with the DAV, there are a lot of people out there that have never applied for benefits for whatever reason, that they believe that they are not entitled to those benefits, but we need to get them in the door. They earn those benefits by putting on the uniform,
Yeah.
whether they went to Vietnam or they went to Germany or Korea or Thailand or wherever. If they were in that time frame, 59 to 75, we need to be here and we need to help them.
Well, and don't forget, last August, our government passed the PACT Act with the toxic exposure. So a lot of the questions now on the VA forms, there's a whole section that they added in there that talks about toxic exposure, and it asks if you were in the Gulf War or any of these countries. And then there's another block that says, were you ever in Vietnam? Were you exposed to Agent Orange? So it's taken them, what, 40
plus
40
years.
plus years to come around.
Well, 47 years.
So
Yeah. I mean, and that a lot of veterans in our community and throughout the U.S. never heard of the PACT Act. That's never been widely disseminated unless
No.
you have a connection with a veterans organization that is there. Not only is it the Agent Orange, but it's the burn pits.
right,
And I've heard the comments, but in Vietnam, you didn't have any burn pits. That is not a true statement. we burned a lot of material there so it couldn't get into the enemy's hands. And probably the most notorious of it all is on the U.S. bases, you had outhouses.
Right.
And they cut 55-gallon drums in half and they placed them in the back underneath the hole. We had to burn all of that human waste to keep it from being transported out of the base out into the rice paddies and creating an epidemic of diseases. So if you've ever burned human waste and you've been there burning it, or if you've been downrange and breathed the smoke, we already have medical evidence that that is as bad as a burn pit.
Right.
You've been ingesting it into your lungs, and there are a lot of people that are finding now that the diseases they have are from ingesting that smoke from the burning of the human waste.
So, if any of our viewers want to get more information on the local chapter here and maybe how to join the VVA, how would they do that?
I would ask that we have our meetings on the second Saturday of every month. We have coffee and donuts. That starts at about 8 o'clock. We're at the VFW here in Sierra Vista. The meeting starts from 9 until 10 o'clock. We're not smoking, we're not drinking, we're not doing a lot of the things that people kind of shy away from some of the other organizations. We're gypsies. We use whatever sites are available for us to have our meetings, but we're business. We have speakers at every meeting except in April. April every year is our elections, and that takes up the majority of our time to conduct that. But otherwise, we'll have speakers from the community come in and talk to us about a plethora of topics.
Is the VVA have like an application you have to fill out to join, or do you have to pay dues or anything like that?
We have an application. Here's what I would tell you if you're not sure. There is no obligation coming in the door. We would ask that you would come in, enjoy a meeting, and then if you still have an interest in how we do business and what we're talking about, the information sharing that we do, if you're interested in joining, we have applications there at every meeting, and it's $50 for a life membership.
Wow, that's not bad at all for a lifetime. Yeah,
Lifetime. But then we're in that tier of veterans,
Right.
where we're getting into the 70s. So, and there are a lot of veterans. The reason that we kept it down to $50 from $250 is we got a lot of veterans that don't have the income to support the membership.
Right.
We would rather have the membership, and we'll get money from other sources, other fundraisers and stuff like that. We want them to come in. We want to be able to share the information, get them help that they need.
So, in closing, do you have any other remarks or any kind of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience, with our viewers?
One of the things that I talked to the reporter on Wednesday who did the interview for the thing in the paper, and you can read it there, we need to have the ability to tell veterans from whatever era, thank you for your service and welcome home. That is foremost. Doesn't take a lot of effort, but most of us are wearing a shirt or a hat or a jacket or something like that. Or sometimes you can tell just by the way they conduct themselves. Maybe they walk around with a certain level of pride, sometimes a little bit hidden, but the one thing I told the reporter, I said, the biggest thing that I would like to impart on the people that have not served, whether you see them on the street, in the mall, or if you get a group of people and you coordinate with one of the healthcare facilities, go in and have an iced tea, have a Coke, have a cup of coffee. Listen to their stories. their stories are a chapter in history. Every veteran has their own story to tell.
Amen to that.
And there may be, they may just, make it a little more flowery because they finally got somebody to listen to them. But when we're gone, that history is gone. Unless you happen to be in a military family, but even over time, the stories fade. It doesn't become something that's in the front of what you're doing unless you're out there with another veteran somewhere. So I would just encourage the people in the community, you see a veteran, stop, tell them thank you for your service, welcome home, and if you have more time in your busy life to be able to spend a little time with them, listen to their stories.
Yep.
It will amaze you to hear what their life was like back in the day, when they were serving in the military, combat or not.
It's educational.
It's educational. Like I said, it's history, and when we're gone, that history is gone also.
Right.
So take the time, listen. All capital letters.
Well said.
Find a veteran, listen to their story.
One observation that I've noticed, especially here at the Warrior Healing Center, is when a Vietnam veteran sees another Vietnam veteran and they don't know each other, the very first thing they say is what? Do you know?
Welcome
home.
Because we never got it.
Right.
We were the first of any outside war involvement in another country that came home and didn't have the parades, and we didn't have any whole units coming back into a town. It's not like now where they activate like a National Guard unit. You got a big celebration as they're getting ready to go before they go, so they get the send off, and then when they come home, the family members and the unit put something together and they have a big celebration when they come home.
Right.
And then they release it. We never had any of that. We had the spitting, the coffee, the soda, the water, whatever they get their hands on, throwing at us, and a lot of the people that came back from Vietnam, you get in that war mentality, and I know I experienced it. I embarrassed my family to no end. You would hear a sharp sound or a car backfire. For a whole year, it was all about survival. You hear that, the first thing you did is get on the ground. So probably for the first 3 or 4 months that I was back, it was embarrassing to be walking anywhere near me because if there was any loud sound, I was on the ground, rolling up next to a car, getting next to a wall, and it takes time to get unprogrammed from that type of behavior because it's all about survival. So don't be embarrassed, if there's a loud sound and you see somebody that's ducking and running. It's just part of their DNA right now.
And for those of you that are Vietnam veterans, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say welcome home. And thank you for your service, because I've heard a lot of stories. I'm just glad that we're able to share, like you said, that they're alive and able to share those. So Bill, thank you so much for coming in. And well, I know you were here today, but I appreciate you sitting down and sharing your story with us. And it's a great article in the Sierra Vista Herald. Make sure you read it. What day was that?
That was
on
today,
March?
Today's.
Oh, that was today's paper.
Today's paper.
Make sure you get a Sierra Vista Herald and
go online and see it, or $2 you can get the hard copy. I went and got 3 hard copies this morning because I'll put one in our history book. I'll send one back to the families that I have back in Iowa, and I'll scan it and send it back. And then I've got one for my own archive as well.
A lot of good information in the article too. So I got a couple of events here I want to read real quick if you can hang in there.
Absolutely.
Let's
take advantage of that opportunity to do that.
Just a reminder today, today. Well, we've already had the soup, so I've jumped that one because I had the event since like 9 o'clock this morning or 10 o'clock this morning.
There's still
So
some soup back there.
there
if
is
you
still some soup. On Monday, starting at 17:30 and going to 18:30, we have the Five Treasures of Qigong, which is a exercise yoga type of thing. Get a pretty good attendance for that. That's taking place here at the Warrior Healing Center. This is a new one. Tuesday, starting at 17:30, going to 1900 hours, belly dancing is coming here to the Warrior Healing Center.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Maybe I could lose some weight doing that too.
Yeah, toning.
On Wednesday at 8:30 will be the Velobets ride from the Sierra Vista PDS Country Club Golf Parking Lot. Country Club Golf Course Parking Lot is what I meant to say. On Wednesday, starting at 0900 going through 1200, is Painting with Sue, and that is here at the Warrior Healing Center. And then on Thursday, starting at 1500 hours, going to 1800 hours, is the Community Leadership Training, and that is taking place here at the Warrior Healing Center. Ththursday night, starting at 1700, going to 2000 hours, will be the Thursday night social ride, and they're meeting at Culver's. I'm not sure what that is, but I know I love Culver's. They got good food there. We have the Thursday night Warrior Headspace and Timing group that meets here, starting at 1830, goes to 2000 hours. And that's another thing. If you're a veteran, you don't have to be Vietnam veteran, any veteran, and you're having some struggles or issues and you feel that you need some support, come and check out these support groups. They're very valuable, a resource that the Warrior Healing Center here offers to you.
If I could interject, we've got 52 organizations that that are here.
Yeah.
And what we provide is free. It's just a matter of just you coming in and asking the questions on what you need. And let me also add to the Velobets, you don't have to be an experienced bike rider to go check that out. They have these rides scheduled, and if you're interested in it, they will help you select a bike. So they have the recumbents, and it's a two style recumbent, the one that you pedal, and if you lower extremities are not able to pedal, they also have those that are hand run.
Yep, there's a veteran in the group that does a hand bike.
There's a lot of options to go out there and get some exercise and fresh air, especially here in Sierra Vista, where we have 300 plus days of sunshine every year.
Yeah,
and camaraderie too.
I got to be honest with you. I tried the group ride the one day, and I couldn't do. I petered out, man. I just didn't have. And I told Stu, I said, I gotta build up. So luckily, he still lets me use the bike, and I ride it up and down on my road. But I tell you, I don't think I'm anywhere ready to ride like this group does. They're a really good group of riders.
But they do have ability groups that meet at other times.
Yes.
For the beginners, Stu will and 2 or 3 other guys will get together and ride maybe a mile and a half, maybe less under 5.
Dude, I'm talking like a block. I could go about a block, and I'm huffing and puffing.
Yeah, but it takes time. If you don't do exercise on a regular basis, you got to build up to it, and they're very, very helpful in getting you into that and getting you into the group camaraderie. They'll go out and ride, go for breakfast or go for lunch. A lot of opportunities that come out of the Warrior Healing Center, period. And it is worthwhile to come into the front desk, check it out, find out what we offer. You never know, you just may be surprised to find what it is that we have here.
And you know what? The only thing it costs is your time.
Time's cheap.
So, all right, Bill, well, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you so much for sitting down with me again.
Yep,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Yep. We hope to see you all soon.
Welcome home to you. Thank you for your service as well. I am blessed to have gotten to know Bill, and I think that you're a great human being, and I can't thank you enough for all that you've done and what you do here at the Warrior Healing Center as well.
I continue to serve. If you got questions, Vietnam veterans, Vietnam era veterans, come in, make contact with me. I'll come into the office and we'll take care of business.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, everybody, have a good weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Again, Michael Zehr, Bill Beecher, bye.